Hello guys, my name is Prince and this is Smart Center. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos. Post your comments and questions on my social media handles and I'll respond to it. We are still on the topic mensuration. In the previous video, we solved a question on finding the total surface area and volume of a composite shape. In this video, we are going to solve another question. The question for this video is: a cylindrical piece of metal of diameter 6 meters and height 10 meters is melted completely and recast into the shape of a child's toy. The toy consists of a right solid circular cone mounted on top of a hemisphere. The base of the cone fits exactly to the plane face of the hemisphere. The height of the cone is 4 times the radius of the hemisphere. Calculate, correct to 2 decimal places. 1. The radius of the hemisphere. 2. The volume of the cone. And 3. The total surface area of the toy. So there was this metal in the shape of a cylinder. And the cylinder had a diameter of 6 meters and a height of 10 centimeters. This cylinder was then melted and recast into the shape of a toy. The picture here shows us the toy. The toy consists of a cone mounted on top of a hemisphere. So the toy consists of a cone on a hemisphere. The question goes on to say that the base of the cone fits exactly to the face of the hemisphere. So just as you can see here, the circular base of the cone fits exactly on top of the hemisphere. The height of the cone is 4 times the radius of the hemisphere. So you can see from here that because the cone fits exactly on top of the hemisphere, the radius of the cone is going to be the same as the radius of the hemisphere. And the question also says that the height of the cone is 4 times the radius of the hemisphere. And we are supposed to calculate the radius of the hemisphere, the volume of the cone, and the total surface area of the toy. We will solve the first question in this video, then we will solve the others in the next video. So the radius of the hemisphere. Now, this is what the question wants to tell us. There is this cylinder with diameter 6 centimeters and height 10 centimeters. This cylinder was melted, then it was recast or remolded to form this toy here. So you can see from here that the volume of the cylinder here will be the same as the volume of the toy because it was this cylinder that was melted to form the toy. So the volume of the cylinder will be the same as the volume of the toy. And the volume of the toy will be the volume of the cone plus volume of the hemisphere. So let's go ahead and find volume of the cylinder. This cylinder here has a diameter of 6 centimeters and a height of 10 centimeters. We know that the volume of a cylinder is equal to pi r squared h, where r is the radius of the cylinder and h is the height of the cylinder. Since the diameter is 6 centimeters, the radius will be half of the diameter, that is 3 centimeters. So the volume of this cylinder is equal to pi times 3 centimeters squared times 10 centimeters. And this will give us 282.74 centimeters cubed. So the volume of this cylinder is 282.74 centimeters cubed. That means that the volume of the toy is also 282.74 centimeters cubed. Now, how do we find the volume of the toy? The toy consists of a cone and a hemisphere. So the volume of the toy is going to be the volume of the cone plus volume of the hemisphere. Because the cone fits directly onto the hemisphere, the radius of the cone will be the same as the radius of the hemisphere. We know that volume of a cone is equal to 1 divided by 3 pi r squared h, and volume of a hemisphere is equal to 2 divided by 3 pi r cubed. So here, the r here is the radius of the hemisphere and is the same as the radius of the cone. The question told us that the height of the cone is 4 times the radius of the hemisphere. That means that h here, which is the height of the cone, is equal to 4 times r, which is the radius of the hemisphere. So h is equal to 4r. So we can replace the h that we have in the volume of a cone with 4r. If we do that, you have volume of the cone is equal to 1 divided by 3 times pi r squared times, this time instead of h, we know that h is 4r, so times 4r. And this will give us 4 divided by 3 pi r cubed. So now we have the volume of the cone in terms of r. We also have the volume of the hemisphere in terms of r. But we know that the volume of this toy here will be the same as the volume of the cone plus volume of the hemisphere. Volume of the cone in terms of r is now 4 divided by 3 pi r cubed, and volume of the hemisphere is 2 divided by 3 pi r cubed. So if you add these two, you see that you have 4 pi r cubed divided by 3 plus 2 pi r cubed divided by 3. Since they have the same denominators, we can add the numerator straight away. We learned this in fractions. So you add 4 pi r cubed to 2 pi r cubed. From algebra, 4 pi r cubed plus 2 pi r cubed will give us 6 pi r cubed. So we have 6 pi r cubed divided by 3. 3 will cancel itself 1 and cancel 6 2 times. So you will have 2 pi r cubed. That means that volume of the cone plus volume of the hemisphere is 2 pi r cubed. We also know that the volume of the cylinder is 282.74 centimeters cubed. And we have just found out that volume of the cone plus volume of the hemisphere is equal to 2 pi r cubed. Remember that volume of the cylinder is the same as volume of the toy, and volume of the toy is equal to volume of the cone plus volume of the hemisphere. So we can equate these two. So we are going to equate 282.74 centimeters cubed and 2 pi r cubed, since they are the same thing, because volume of the cylinder is the same as volume of the toy, which is 282.74 centimeters cubed, and volume of the cone plus volume of the hemisphere is also the same as volume of the toy. That means that volume of the cylinder is equal to volume of the cone plus volume of the toy plus volume of the hemisphere. Volume of the cylinder is 282.74 centimeters cubed, and volume of the cone plus volume of the hemisphere is 2 pi r cubed. We want to find r, which is the radius of the cone and the hemisphere. So we will divide the left hand side by 2 pi, and we will divide the right hand side also by 2 pi. When you do that, you are going to see that 2 pi and 2 pi will cancel. So you will have r cubed is equal to 282.74 divided by 2 pi, and that will give us 45. So 282.74 divided by 2 pi will give us 45. So you have 45 centimeters cubed. So you take the cube root of r cubed and you take the cube root of 45. So cube root of r cubed, then cube root of 45. That will give us, if you take cube root of r cubed, you are going to get r. If you take cube root of 45, you have 3.56. So the radius is equal to 3.56 centimeters. That means that the radius of the hemisphere, which is the same as the radius of the cone, is 3.56 centimeters. The question said that we should find the volume of the cone and volume and total surface area of the toy. We are going to do that in the next video. So see you in the next video, and let's continue solving this question.